you were here from my intro remarks earlier, so I'm not going to repeat those. The group we have now is Prairie City, Mitchellville rail trail development. One thing I did want to explain is this project is obviously, for all of us who are involved in it, the conversion of the rail trail from Monroe to Mitchellville, and also of great importance is the eventual extension of that into the rest of the Des Moines metro system, the Gailey-Wilson Trail. That's not part of the scope of this project, but the Monroe to Mitchellville portion is what the student group was given to look at. Now what ended up happening is we had a separate Monroe group doing a trail and sidewalk plan for the town of Monroe. We decided to chop off kind of the Monroe portion of the rail trail conversion and give it to that group. So this group basically picks up the trail near the Diamond Trail Road, where the Monroe portion that's already kind of there with a crushed rock surface on it and under the control of the Jasper County Conservation Department. They pick it up there and take it the rest of the way to Mitchellville. If you're interested in the Monroe portion, that presentation will be 7 o'clock Monday evening at the City Council meeting in Monroe. But that is, just wanted to explain that so that it doesn't look like we're picking up the trail out in the middle of nowhere and taking it down to Mitchellville for this group. So with that, welcome, and we have appreciated working with you for the last 12 or 16 weeks. Josh Rollins is the team leader of this group. The other members are Michelle Redinger, Fernando Oliveira, and Justin Carico. So thanks, and we look forward to the presentation.
Thanks for the introduction, Jeff. And like you said, our group is called ourselves Capital Consultants, and we are designing the railroad trail project that will be coming through Prairie City. So, like Jeff mentioned, essentially we were tasked with designing a trail that will convert the existing railroad right-of-way, or where the railroad bed was, into a trail that can be used by pedestrians and bicyclists.
So as Jeff mentioned, we're picking it up west of Monroe, following the railroad through Prairie City, where we detour for the grain co-op. So we'll detour bicyclists to the street for a little while, and we'll get back on the railroad and continue up to Mitchellville, where it dead ends at Northeast 116th Street. As Jeff mentioned, that was kind of the extent of our project, and the hope is that eventually we can connect into the Des Moines trail system. An additional part of our design was determining options for a temporary surface and a permanent surface. So it was our understanding that it might be difficult to get funds at the beginning of the project to fully fund and get a permanent asphalt or concrete surface. So we examined a temporary surface of a crushed limestone or granular type base that would provide a temporary surface that can get the trail open, get people using the trail, and then as funds become available, we can recycle that surface as a base to a permanent concrete or asphalt surface. Additionally, we designed a trailhead in Prairie City. It was requested that we look at that as an option, kind of a halfway point between the two ends of our trail, as well as it could bring business to Prairie City. An additional component was it was requested that we include connections to the Neil Smith Nature Refuge west of Prairie City, as well as the pond west of Monroe.
So overall, this trail should provide Jasper County with several positive societal impacts. Number one being that it will provide the residents with a new recreation facility, which will allow the residents to enjoy the outdoors and the Iowa scenery. The second is that it will connect the communities, and it should provide better community cohesion between the three towns. It should also create some new business for the downtown of Prairie City, as the trailhead is likely to be placed in the downtown area, and this should create some new business. There's also some potential to increase the property values of the land surrounding the downtown, as the aesthetics of the downtown Garden Square should be improved. And also we're looking for, in the upcoming years, there should be an increase in civil pride for these towns once the trails connect to the Des Moines trails, and once the trail has become established. And this will, hopefully, the residents will see the trail as a symbol of their prospering and unique community.
So we used a number of design standards when approaching this project. When designing the trail alignment and the trail surface, we used primarily SUDAS, or the statewide urban design and specifications, which is standard across the state of Iowa. So in using these standards, it was ensured that, we comply with everything that incorporates American Disability Act, so making sure that things are sloped correctly, such that it'll be usable by people in wheelchairs, etc., as well as making sure that drainage is compensated for. We, designed our pavement thickness off of this, as well as determining the necessary paint marks, etc., and safety guards in Prairie City when we had bicyclists on the road. When looking at the trailhead structure and doing the structural analysis for that, we used the American Society of Civil Engineers guidelines for loading, as well as the American Wood Council national design specifications for wood construction as we were doing a wood structure. And we used allowable stress design, which is just kind of a way of combining different loads such as dead load, wind load, snow load, and figuring out which case is worst and which we need to design for to ensure that the structure will remain safe and usable for years.
So the trail begins on the northwest end of Monroe, and it continues and follows the existing trail or railroad bed until it gets to Marshall Street in Prairie City. And we make sure to cooperate with the Monroe student group in order to make sure that our design for the trail was consistent between the two groups. And we were also tasked with connecting to the pond next to Highway 163. And so this pond, the Jasper County Conservatory is looking to implement a pheasant sanctuary by the pond, and they're looking to implement a small trail going around the pond. And one of the challenges we had to face was where we were going to connect back to the highway, which would connect us back to the trail. And so we decided against going with the east side of the pond, as that was already existing farmland. And we decided against the west side as the grade was too steep and that would cause unnecessary cut and fill. So we decided to reconnect with the trail through the north end.
The trail through Prairie City, as Michelle mentioned, was to avoid the co-op and and offer the maximum exposure to the downtown area. Coming from the east side of the town, it's gonna turn north on Marshall Street, then we'll turn west on east on Jefferson Street, keep traveling until turn south on West Street and reconnecting with the trail. Then we can see that's gonna avoid the co-op. Was asked to connect the trail with the New Smith Park. This connection is made by getting off of the trail, driving south to the Buffalo Square Garden, or to the Buffalo Square, where there's an existing facility so the riders can rest. Then they're gonna cross the bridge and connect with the existing trail that's already in the Buffalo Square. We provide sign marks and paint marks on the streets and signs to provide the most safety route for the riders. And also, we chose the best option, the best route to don't influence too much on the traffic. To cross the bridge, we develop by the requirements of SUDAS, 2 lines on each side following the traffic with bollards, can be flexible or rigid bollards, and they're gonna be spaced a little bit before the bridge and until after the bridge. So we provide the most safety to don't connect the bikers with the cars.
So after we exit Prairie City to the west, we'll continue up the rail alignment until we dead end at Northwest 116th Street, south of Mitchellville, which, as I said, was the extent of our project, but the hope is that eventually that'll connect to Des Moines trail system.
So for the trail design, we were asked to create a temporary surface and a permanent surface, as the trail would be constructed in different stages. And so for the temporary surface, we went with crushed limestone with dust, as this was a common surface used in other trails throughout America. And also for the permanent surface, we had to choose between hot mix asphalt and Portland cement. So for the temporary surface, we went with the 1/4 inch limestone with dust. And this was mainly due to the 3/4 inch already being implemented by Monroe. And we were told that some of the riders were complaining that it was too rough of a ride. So this finer aggregate should provide a smoother ride for the temporary surface. And the 4-inch thick layer should provide a suitable sub-base for the permanent surface. And then for the permanent surface, we have the hot mix asphalt, as this was the cheaper of the two options. And this is going to provide a very smooth ride for the bicyclists, and it will be durable, but it will require some maintenance after the winter due to the freeze and thaw. So it will require some patching. So overall, we have a 8-inch thick trail. It will be 10 feet wide with two lanes, and it will have a 2% cross slope, and this will provide some runoff for the trail.
Through town, we also follow the requirements of SUDAS about the thick of the lanes and to not affect on the size of the streets. We provide a 10 feet wide lanes with signs and marks all over the town, so we can provide the most safety route for the riders.
So overall, we had 2,800 cubic yards net of earthwork that needed to be done. And considering that the trail is 17 miles long, we figured that this was a very suitable number and very manageable.